through many MOCs, spaceships, and much more. Here at James Lego Studio, we are inspiring all, one brick at a time, to build more epic Lego MOCs.
Welcome back to James Lego Studio. This is Jordan with another update on the Alien Cruiser. So before we get into the progress, I want to hit on the goals for this episode, which are to finish off the back face of the Alien Cruiser, meaning all this is going to be all detailed. The panels are going to be fully in here with the other engine on, and then we're going to transition the engines into the top and also back into these side panels, so it's going to be looking very nice and smooth with the depth and texture greebling. And then the other goal for this episode is to transition the hallway all the way up to where the start of the command bridge is going to be. So without further ado, we're going to start off with the back engine section and work our way forward. So to start off here, we're blending in the engines into the side panels, as you can see. And I found this complicated solution to try to get the conical shape. So I'm using hinges to get some beams going straight in to start out the curve, and then I'm using some brackets and snot techniques to fill in these gaps. Now at just the top side, there's quite a few large gaps, so I ended up having to fill in the middle with some snot bricks and cheese slopes. That ends up getting the gap as closely filled as I can get, so I'm going to start duplicating that all the way around as far as I need, and then we'll put the engines back on. Alright, so now we just have a quick update, meaning that we have all the panels of the conical shape and the arc section of it for both of them. And then in terms of where these open holes are, I am making these panels to go in them. They're relatively simple, minus the fact that there's half a stud at the top because it's an odd numbered length, and so I can wire lights into the laser cannons in the front. I have left a Technic plate with the hole going through the turntable so I can get those wires through. I have that, and then I've also worked on expanding the hallway section from here and going on, so you can see from here. Then also, I've just finished up finally positioning all the lights on the inside of these panels, so these do all light up nicely now, which I'll show you real quick. I'll probably have a segment at the end of the video just to show it off in the dark. As you can see, we got lots of lights on the interior as we have before. Now as you can see, some of the inside of the paneling, there is 6 LEDs on the left and the right, and then we have a pair of 2 on top and 2 on bottom, and the same over here. And as we zoom out, you'll be able to see all the light is shining up on these panelings where I had the dark blue lines. And same goes for over here. So then, yeah, very, very cool. So with that, we're going to be finishing up these panels and getting the laser cannons on there. And then we'll be working more toward getting these engines back on and fleshing out the back with a lot of nice detail. So this is what we have for the laser cannon design that I'm wiring lights into. So this was very tricky to come up with because the LED has to go through a 1 stud wide hole. So there isn't really much room to play with to try to get any good detail in the front. But as you can see, we've hidden it very well, though in this gap I had to leave it open so that you can actually play with the laser cannon and adjust it at different angles. And I need that also to leave the flexibility in the wire so that it doesn't break when you're playing with it. Other than that, this does turn still and shouldn't have any issues with snapping the wire below it as it's spinning in one place. So now we just need to duplicate this design 3 more times for the other 3 panels, and then we'll be working on the back section, putting those engines back on and getting all that detail. So as you guys can see, we have all 4 of these laser cannons duplicated on their panels respectively, with the wires going through, and we have a lot more progress on the back detail here. I started getting up the rest of the framework for it and starting to lay out the new panels. I still do have to transition this around this middle engine, or at least we got that started. But I've also completed the blending from the engine into the side panel with that conical shape and attached them, as well as finished off covering where the panels hinged in and supported. So now we'll be really focusing on the back face and finishing that up. So now I'm going to show you the process of wiring my LEDs inside of my turbo lasers. So before I begin, I like just to mention that safety is number 1. So if you do not know how to solder, please learn from somebody first before you try to do it on your own, as soldering irons are very hot and can easily burn you, as well as when using a torch to shrink tube make sure your positive and negative wires are separated, as you can see I'm doing now. That can be dangerous as well. So I'm taking the necessary precautions by, when soldering, having my fans running to diffuse the smoke that's coming from melting the solder onto the wire, as well as I have water nearby, is in case. And so, as you can see, I soldered that one connection, and now I'm joining the linking wire, because the turbo lasers are pretty far apart, so I need to connect those wires together and then leave enough room so that I can later, when I have the rest of the lights that have the same programming sequence as these, I can join those in and then link those to the battery. So this is just a brief looking at the process I'm doing, and I might show a more detailed tutorial of how to solder and applications in LEGO lighting. So now, after a lot of wiring and soldering, we have all 4 laser cannons on the side panels, all complete, and with the side panels filled. So, as I'm going to demonstrate all the lighting that I just did, in just a second here, with my other hand. You can see it. It's just hard with one hand, holding a test battery to it. But this is simulating the laser cannon firing, and this will be programmed to flash in a certain sequence. And I have the bottom one as well. Now, unfortunately for the middle 2, they will not be able to do that because I wanted a 2-barrel design for the laser cannon instead of a 1-barrel. And I wanted the contrast between the thicker or heavier cannon and the lighter cannon for some of the smaller ships. So, finding that balance in weaponry for the alien cruiser and aesthetics, resulted in 2 of them having flashing lights on each side instead of all 4. And I've done this side as well, as you will see. As you can see, I have this side done as well. The panel's closed. So the next section we'll be working on is the back section of these panels, which I just need to do the lower halves to complete the face. As you can see, I've done the top already with a nice and smooth design with some decent level of detail using different snot techniques in the middle. So let's get to finishing the back face, and this will be the last part of episode 6. So this is where we're going to leave off for this episode, as we got a lot of decent start on these back panels. The lighting's a little bit dark because of the engines covering light coming above, but yeah, all the sides like transition, so that all this in the middle, we just need to fill in some basic detail yet. And then I have a lot of hinges here because this middle piece needs to be able to come out so that this battery tray is able to drive itself out when I need to either change the battery or adjust the program for lighting, as the circuit board is also going to sit right in front of here. So this comes in by taking out this middle engine and then sliding this in, being the gear rack on the sides in there. It's a little bit hard to see, but that's how this area is going to be functioning, and that these hinges are going to need to come out of the way for that battery section to be able to come out. As we have some nice detailing up at the top that we finished. This is also transitioned so that we have a nice frame at the top to start filling in the roof panels. Otherwise, we got a nice look at the laser turrets on the sides that I wired up, which is one of my favorite parts that I recently added, as well as the engine transition. So we'll see you next time on Jam's Lego Studio on Saturday with a lot more progress on the Alien Cruiser.